Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. So we are now just a matter of days away from reopening the park and welcoming you all back. So I thought it would be really good if I took you for a little bit of a tour around the park and showed you exactly what's ready to go for the opening. So as you can probably tell, the Welsh weather is being extremely kind to us right now, and I'm really hoping this is going to last to the opening weekend, but as with everything with the weather in the valleys, you can never be certain. So with that in mind, let's jump in the Land Rover, let's head up the hill before the rain finds us. So I'm going to start the tour up here in the upper section of the park. It's an important thing for you to keep in mind when you come to the park this time that it is very different to how it was before. The model of riding before, obviously based around the uplift, was you got taken all the way to the top and you rode all the way to the bottom, got on the uplift and repeated that cycle over and over again. Now, whilst you're more than welcome to push your way all the way to the top and ride all the way to the bottom and repeat that all day, that's probably not going to be the best way to make the most of your riding day at the park. It probably takes somewhere around half an hour to push to the top, depending on how fast you can push your bike, obviously, and you'll get about 5 or 6 minutes of riding down for that, which doesn't feel like a great ratio. We think the best way to enjoy the park in the setup for this summer is to session each individual section. Each of these sections of the park has discrete tracks that you can session over and over again in a relatively short amount of time. This model of, say, a 5 to 10 minute push for a 1 to 2 minute ride will keep you on your bike more, and I think will get you more out of your day at the park. Anyway, that's enough tips about how to best enjoy your day. Let's crack on with the tour so I can show you exactly what tracks are going to be open on day one. Now, it's important to note that there might be some more coming down the summer, but what you're going to see today is what is going to be ready to go on the first day of opening. Okay, so starting out with everyone's favourite, the top of the Red Free Ride. Now, the top of the Red Free Ride fared better than most of the tracks on the hill, so didn't need a complete rebuild after the forestry work. That being said, James has been through here with the digger in order to refresh and reshape and repair some of the damage that was done with the machines crossing it. Now, one of the main things you may notice at the beginning is the old, rotten, falling down wooden start ramp is now gone, and we've replaced it, at least temporarily, with a dirt start ramp. This little ramp will give you a bit of a boost into the first jumps on the trail. Running along the Red Free Ride, we also have the iconic 50:1 trail. Now, the 50:1 trail survived almost unscathed from the forestry work and only really required a bit of refresh work in order to get it rolling again. With the help of the 50:1 gang, we undertook this work a few weeks ago, so the 50:1 will be fully open and rolling from day one. So if you've been dreaming of sending the 50:1 since we closed, well, that dream can now come true. So on the opposite side of the top section, we have the far side area. So this is made up of two main features. The first being our original top section of the far side downhill track. Now, if you've ridden at the park before, you'll almost certainly be familiar with this super fast and flowy section of downhill track, which ends on the first fire road. The other section is the far side jump line, which splits off the main far side line on the first straight. Now, this track was a relatively new addition to the park prior to the felling work, but it still had a pretty good refresh during this rebuild. Now, the far side jumps are one of the best tracks to session, as it's a relatively easy trip back to the top, and you certainly get a lot of bang for your buck with the amount of jumps on this trail. So for those of you who prefer a bit of off-piste riding, don't you worry, the top of the hill is not all about jumps. We also have the top section of the main line open, and this was our original black graded downhill track. Now, this is a traditional downhill track, tight and twisty through the stumps with lots of technical features like roots and drops and off-camber sections, so if you're looking for a bit of off-piste riding, you'll love the top of the main line. Alongside the main line, we also have Poop Pipe, which is another one of our black graded downhill trails. Like mainline, this is a traditional downhill track, twisting its way through the stumps, over rocks, roots, and all kinds of technical features. So if you're looking for some proper downhill, you'll find plenty of it in this top section. Now, the middle section of the hill is currently just made up of the vision line. Works are underway in this section to rebuild the red downhill track that was destroyed during the forestry, but from day one, the middle section will just be the vision line. I say just, but obviously the vision line is an incredible and iconic track, and through the process of the rebuild has had a pretty decent refresh. Now, the whole vision track is open and ready to ride, however, there is a slight change to the start. Previously, you would drop in at the uplift crossing point at the end of of 50-1. Unfortunately, right now we have a mountain of brash still in the way, so you won't be able to start the track there. Instead, the track starts at the top of the diagonal fire road, which, to be honest, this probably makes the track better for sessioning anyway, as to access the original start point up on the uplift track required a lot more pushing up for not a lot more riding. For those familiar with the Vision, it won't require any more explanation, but this is a great sessioning section if you're interested in riding the Vision line. The lower section of the hill is made up of two main tracks. The first being the lower red freeride, which has had a pretty decent refresh during the rebuild, and as many of you will remember if you've ridden here before, it's an awesome bit of track with a good mix of rollable features like tables, hips and drops. It's also worth noting that the lower freeride has a peel-off point about halfway down. This peel-off point allows you to leave the track, get up onto the old uplift and quickly get back to the start of this section. The other section that's been rebuilt in the lower area is Reddy McRedface. Now this is going to be the track that we're using for the couple of races we're doing this summer, but it'll obviously be open for you to ride to your heart's content. This is a relatively mellow downhill track made up of tight and twisty berms, which can make for some good flow riding training. Like the freeride, Reddy McRedface also has a convenient peel-off point about halfway down. At this point you can leave the track and head back up the fire road, which allows you to easily get back to the top of the lower section, so you can session these tracks over and over. As with the middle section of the hill, we have got plans to open up more trails in this lower section, but these are the two trails that will be available on day one. The other notable feature in this section is the new push-up track, which gives you a easy and consistent way to get from the bottom of the hill up to the first fire road and the start of the bottom section. As before, the lower section of the hill feeds into the car park area. I think this car park area is actually a good metaphor for the new model for the park. In this area you've got a nice condensed set of features such as berms and jumps, which are great for building up your skills and experience of riding whilst hanging out with all your riding friends. So we certainly have a few finishing touches and work to do before we're ready to welcome you back to the park, but I wanted to give you all an update as to exactly what to expect when you arrive. As I said before, we'll be continuing the work through the summer and there may be more trails coming along, but I wanted you to be really clear as to what to expect when you come for your riding day. So as always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Remember to like and subscribe, it really does help to support the channel and therefore the rebuild of the park. But most of all guys, I hope to see you in the next one.